you want us both to clap?
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like it's a joke.
I wish it was. 3.
Oh wait, do we go on one or do we go after one?
What? 1, 2, 3, clap.
Yeah, I'll do it like that.
A point, a little.
Yeah, I'll do a little TV point
You're
for
gonna
you.
give him a stroke.
Yeah.
This is not real.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining us again today on the podcast, Conversations with Kenney. Please excuse my voice. I was a little under the weather the past few days. Got to hang out with my snotty-nosed grandbaby. She's beautiful. I was all in that grill, Jay, hanging out with her. Little did I know that I'm 60 years old, and guess what? If it's going to come out, it's going to hit me now. Yeah, so I'm getting to be an old man. This takes me back. It makes me almost feel like COVID.
Yeah.
And during the COVID years, man, you were phenomenal in this company. I've reached out to you so many times, brother, and I said, man, you are inspiring the troops out here. I was doing my weekly videos, and I think they had a little impact, but when you have a peer out there that was doing what you were doing, I think that's what really moved the troops and really fired people up. So what inspired you to do that? Because I want to hear that. We're going to get into your story. I want to know how you found us and all that, but let's just kick it right off with how you moved the needle, in the very, very early days.
Now, the big thing is,
of COVID.
I called when they started shutting everything down. I remember calling and leaving a voicemail on your voicemail box. And LeBron James had just come out a couple weeks before that and made a tweet about Kobe Bryant passing. And he told Laker Nation, he said, hey, God gave me a strong back. I'm going to put the team on my back and we're going to win the championship. And that's what I said to you on my call. I said, hey, I got a strong back. I'm going to put the state of South Carolina on my back. I'll take care of that down here through my store. And then you can take care of Eastern North Carolina. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
So my big thing was I would see your videos and that would inspire me. And I was like, I know other people are inspired by Kenney because we're growing. We're not as big as we are for no reason. But what about the people that don't know Kenney?
Right.
What about the people that just see Kenney as this, basically what you said in your last episode, you don't look at yourself as anything special, but some people are like, CEO Kenney Moore, here's the man who started this all. He's in another league. I can't relate to him. I feel like I tried to be a bridge between those people and you.
Oh, what a great way to think about it, man.
And so just like I'm, here I am, everyday guy. I'm average and ordinary, like you say, this whole company is. What's working for me, let me just share.
Yeah.
And that's what I tried to do every single day. I literally some days would tell my wife, I'd say, okay, Kenney made a video yesterday, I'm going to post a video tomorrow.
That's perfect.
And I didn't want to bog you down with bothering you. And
No.
I wanted it to be natural, like, okay, Kenney's posted Monday, Wednesday or Thursday, I'm going to hit him again.
Yeah. And you know what? That happened, it was grassroots. It came from your heart, it came from your desire, and it's funny, you made that comparison that LeBron James having a strong back, and the reason that's awesome to me is because you find inspiration from everywhere.
Yeah.
Most of what I say when you say that I inspire people, a lot of it I've just gotten from somebody else, and it's moved me, and I just choose to share it. And I thought it was awesome the way we just organically did that. I really looked at you. I was like, you said, hey, Kenney inspired me. I'm going to post 1, 2, or 3 days from now. But what you don't understand is you were feeding me too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was like, I had a calm about me, and I felt like that was my role during COVID, was to just go, guys, we got this, but I needed a beast out there, showing it too. It's one thing to sit and do a video in front of a computer. It's a whole different thing to be in your car riding and making a delivery, and oftentimes making a delivery where you just gave back. Most people were holding on, trying to get every nickel they could. Instead, we had the mentality that, this is a great time for us to give back to others as well. And you did a lot of that, Jay. Can you speak to some of what you gave back during that time when a lot of people were literally drawing in and in some cases shutting down their businesses during that time? Instead, we gave back, and I feel like we were blessed because of that as well.
Yeah, it just kind of went back to my early days growing up and being in high school and going to church, that not giving back so that I'll be blessed, but sacrificial giving, all through the New Testament, that was blessed. In the Old Testament too, but You think about the parable when Jesus talks about the lady who gave her last 2 mites.
That's right. That's
You
what
know,
moved him.
And that meant more
Yeah.
than the guy who gave, 5 out of 10.
Right.
He gave half, but she gave everything.
Right.
And so for me, it was just kind of like, all right, I'm going to put it out there, and it is going to be what it is. And man, sometimes, in a strange way, sometimes I miss those times because it was just like, hey, we're going to do this, and
Pure adrenaline.
it was chaos. It was
Yeah.
literally, I tell my therapist says, I was like, I grew up in chaos, and on March 17th, the governor gave me permission to live in chaos every day. And I was like, yeah, we're going to thrive.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we did. So we gave away book bags, and we just finished up our 4th year doing that. That was birthed out of COVID. It's been a pretty cool thing. I went and spoke to my high school up in Rockingham, North Carolina, to the Beta Club. And they gave me a check of $300. And they said, use this for the backpack giveaway this year.
Oh, man.
And that covered all the book bags.
Yeah.
We did free kids meals when school got out. A lot of people were worried about how the kids were going to eat, and the school district was still delivering food to neighborhoods, but that was a brand new thing. And people were like, well, what if we can't get there, this and that? And I said, well, just bring the kids by Highway 55. And the school district gave away good food. I mean, it was quality, but nothing beats a cheeseburger or hot dog.
They gave away healthy food.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily call it good food, okay? We'll call it healthy
There you
food.
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
You gave away good food.
Yeah. So we had people coming in, and I've built so many connections and relationships with people then, single mom with 4 kids. Not that she wasn't a single mom at the time, but mom with 4 kids comes in, they're kind of struggling and everything. Fast forward 2 years, dad passes away. And so she already knows, like, okay, Jay's not going to embarrass me. Jay's not going to look down on me. I need help feeding my kids. She knows where she can go.
Yeah.
And she didn't take advantage of that. And I just have to step back sometimes and go, okay, if the bad things that happened during COVID wouldn't have happened, how would she maybe have fed her kids during that time?
Man, that's love your neighbor, though.
Yeah.
It's funny, you got that tattooed on your skin, too. You're like me. Mine is a little more manly, a little more awesome, but...
I just went with the basic, what the company...
I'm proud. Look, you got it. I'm proud of you. And I think, we were talking before this started, too, and you said you got 6 or 7 employees that have tattooed that as well?
And it all started, my wife, Heather, she got it tattooed a couple years ago, before I did. And she loves tattoo. I think she's going to get tattooed next week.
Mm-hmm.
But during COVID, one night when tattoo places started opening back up, I'd stayed up long, a long night, kind of doing what we do, like trying to figure out what tomorrow's going to look like.
Right.
And she had just got a tattoo, and so I emailed the guy. I was like, hey man, I want something small. Like, I need to get in there. And he texted me back, and I was like, oh, we're really going to do this, because I'm horrified of needles. So I went in that next day, and I couldn't take anyone in with me. I had to wear a mask and all that, and I was in there, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, this means a lot to me, but so he was like, hey, this is, this is this and this is this. I was like, oh, it's not bad. And about halfway through, I was like, oh my goodness, what did I do? Like,
Can't stop now.
Couldn't stop, yeah. So, but it's always a good conversation starter, because a lot of people are like, oh, what does that mean? And then it just breaks into, love your neighbor, let me explain to you.
Yeah.
And you don't have to even like cheeseburgers to understand love your neighbor. You don't even have to be a Christian.
Yeah.
Love your neighbor is the basic, like, if you're a decent human being with quality morals, you understand that.
You know what's funny though? You said earlier, that you didn't do it to be blessed yourself, but you have been.
Yeah.
And I think as Christians sometimes we fail at telling that part of the story. You always hear you reap what you sow. But we fail to say that, you know what? I have kind of reaped what I've sowed. I didn't sow it for that reason, but I have reaped the benefit. And I mean, you're in a strip center in Red Bank, South Carolina.
Yeah. It's not even an incorporated town.
Right. And you are $1 million store.
Yeah.
$1 million plus store this year.
Close to 1.1 this year.
$1.1 million in hot dogs and hamburgers, man.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, as you mentioned earlier, when you were growing up, and you said you came from a little bit of dysfunction, right?
Yeah. That's the way to put it.
Yeah. And I had my share too. We've talked about this a lot. I think we're cut in a lot of ways from the same cloth. Okay, I really do. And but when you say that, would you have ever thought that you would be the CEO of a $1.1 million business, because that's what you are.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the HR department, you're the motivation department, you sign the checks and all that. Did you tell a little bit about your growing up, and tell a little bit about, your store, your business, and did you see yourself being?
Yeah, I never, like most little boys, I wanted to be a professional baseball player. And I never made the team in middle school or high school. And eventually, I think after like 10th grade, I stopped trying out and stuck to playing soccer.
Mm-hmm.
And senior year, did a little bit of cheerleading, actually. So a lot of people are like, what?
No, you get to hold girls up in the air.
So there you go. And
it's true.
I went to school at Southern Wesleyan University, and I studied religion with a focus in Christian ministry. So
I just talked about holding girls in the air. You transitioned that into studying ministry. Please continue, okay? This is going down an interesting path right now.
So while I was at Southern Wesleyan, started looking, and I felt like the Lord had called me to be a pastor and called me into ministry, like at a church. And I'm like, well, I'm not gonna make much money at all. And but I always felt like He was gonna take care of me. And so I came home from school after a year and a half, and really for that year and a half, only had that first year I didn't do anything. I was just kind of there. I was enjoying being away from the toxic environment that I grew up in. I had a little bit of freedom. I was like, I'm gonna do my own thing.
What was going on in that environment?
It was just, man, it was just chaos every day. That's the easiest, most like.
Was there alcoholism or anything like that?
No, just a lot of
anger.
A lot of anger, a lot of verbal abuse. There were some times when Dad took the strap too far, but eventually, I remember saying one time, like, "Hey, I'm a man, like you're a man. That's it. That's all that's gonna happen." And it wasn't the last time it happened, but it was the last time that it happened with no repercussions.
Gotcha.
And I just always knew, like, I wanted to get out of that household. I wanted to get out of that town, and I love my hometown. I really do. Like, the older I get, the more I try to get back and do things. But I just knew there was more, and not necessarily financially, money-wise, or anything like that. But like, Jay Webb was meant to be more than what the path I was headed on there.
Gotcha.
And it was a.
Well, you beat some odds too, Jay.
Yeah.
You think about it. But I tell you what, you've probably heard me say this in managers' meetings. We wake up every day and decide who and what we're going to be today. What happened yesterday, 10 years ago, 20 years ago is irrelevant. Now, we can sit there and we can dwell on that, okay, and really go into a funk, or we can wake up every day and say, nah, you know what, today's a new day.
Yeah.
I can attack today and do something special today. And I think you're a great example of that.
I've always tried to. You've said that so many times. Like, I hear your voice, occasionally saying that when I'm having one of those days. Then the next thing I follow up with is, what can I do today to love my neighbor in a way where it's going to attract other people? John Wesley is the founder of the Wesleyan Church. Mm-hmm. He said that, a quote one time, that if you basically catch on fire and burn so bright that people come from afar to watch you. And I'm not the perfect example of a Christian. No one ever claimed to be. I do try, but people ask me, like, where did you get this idea to do this? And I'm like, so the company, we have love your neighbor, and then one of my personal little mottos is extension beyond comprehension. I try to extend myself to the point where it just doesn't make sense to the person looking. Like, they're like, why would you give away 1,000 book bags over the course of 4 years? Why would you give away free kids meals for months? We did free kids meals for June and July this summer.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't make any money on that. But what that did is that let people know, hey, we see the hurt. We see what's going on with the economy. We're here for you.
Right.
And for the most part, people just don't understand that kind of thing, because we are in a business and we're trying to make money. And so I came up with that. I was like, I just try to extend myself beyond what you can comprehend.
Yeah, I think it's sad, but I really think it's a mentality. People don't understand it, and it's because it's not natural.
Yeah.
Well, let me take that back. When you're a kid, it is natural. When you get older and become an adult and real life starts to come on you, then it's not natural. But I think you've proven, and I think Highway 55 as a company has proven that the more that we do for the right reason, the more we tend to see rewards from, even though we didn't do them for that reason.
Yeah.
And I think you're a classic example of that. But I didn't know that we were going to get into a theology discussion today too. But no, man, it's awesome to me, because love your neighbor, like you said, love your neighbor. The reason I think, back in 1991, we started out, we called it the intangibles of business. And the intangibles of business through probably the first 10 years is what we called it, and that was opening doors for people, refilling cups because people were thirsty, not for tips, and all the same stuff we talk about today, we called it intent. Then we called it servant leadership, which is what you are. You're a servant leader. We're going to serve others, and we're going to do it regardless of what we get back in return. We're going to look out for others. And then that has moved into love your neighbor, and which I don't think will ever change as long as I'm around anyway. And plus I've got it tattooed on me, so it's kind of stuck now. So it's the only one I don't have intangibles like on a tramp stamp on the back, on my backside. Okay, I don't. Just so you know, that's for everybody out there too. So I have none. That I don't have servant leader anywhere on me either. I just have love your neighbor. And but Jay, you've been an amazing example of that. And where do you see yourself like 5 years from now?
It's funny you asked that, because
that wasn't one of the questions.
Yeah.
One of these days, Isabel, bless her heart, she's just going to write gibberish on here, because I rarely look. Okay, but where do you see yourself?
That's a solid question, because I feel like I got to the point. I started with the company in 2006, and I left.
How'd you get here? Yeah, let's go over that first. Then I want to know where
Specifically today?
No. I know how to I-20, I-95. Okay.
My wife's car. Yeah. So in 2006, I was home. My dad actually told me that he would not allow me to go back to college, and I said that's fine. I didn't get there with your help the first time, so I'll get back there. So I went to work. They had just built a brand new Walmart in Rockingham. At the time, it was the biggest Walmart in the world, and they had built a strip center across the street. And I applied at that Walmart, and all my friends were like, "Oh, they're not hiring. They're not going to hire you." And I was like, "You don't know my life. Like, I've always been. I got hired by the place that wasn't hiring. I was able to buy this thing that people like me not supposed to buy, stuff like that." And so I went and applied, and 2 days later they called me, and I went to work for Walmart for a year, and almost a year. And during that time, I would go and eat on lunch break at Highway 55. Well, Andy's. Had friends from high school that worked there and stuff like that. And my dad actually told me to stop in there. He said, "I got one of the best hamburgers ever." And I was like, "Okay, I'll have to check it out." I went in on a Friday night for the first time with my then pastor, who's one of my really good friends now. And he got a shrimp burger and I got a cheeseburger. And we were both kind of taken aback, because we'd never heard of a shrimp burger. We thought it was going to be like a shrimp, like a Krabby Patty, I guess.
Krabby Patty.
Come out with all this shrimp, and I'm like, okay. So the burger is what it is. It's the same burger that I ate 2 days ago. Right. I mean, all these years apart. But I watched J.R. Cottle. J.R. was the manager at the time, and I watched him running around, and the place was packed. And I was like, this guy, there's got to be something wrong with him to want to be here, to want to be in charge of this. Like, there's no way that he can control this chaos. And I just watched him. Food was good. It was definitely a different place for our hometown. It was a good place, different in a good way. So I started going to my lunch breaks over there, getting to, building a relationship with JR. And he'd be on the cook line cooking. I'd come in and eat, and I'd pick at him. I had a big curly afro and beard, and I'm like, "Man, when are you gonna hire me?" He's like, "You get a haircut, I'll hire you." Because I was back, completely different time. And so, I guess October of that year, we had a management change at Walmart, and I went from working for a manager who would literally come out, take his tie off, and help us set up floral decorations, and like grind with us, to a supervisor that was, "No, this is how it's done. Do as I say." And I was like, I can't. I was 19. I was like, I can't do this. I was 20. I was like, I can't work for a person like this. I don't understand that.
Isn't that funny how you already knew that?
Yeah.
You knew that at 19, that's not the way to lead people.
And they had talked to me about going into to manager school for Walmart, and I was like, "Oh, do I want to be this person in 20 years? Because she seems miserable."
Right.
And she works here a lot, so if she's miserable here, it's probably because of here. And I remember I didn't do it the right way at all, but I took my little vest off, took my name badge and my discount card, and I clocked out for lunch, and I gave it to her. And she said, "You'll be back." And I said, "No, ma'am, I'm not. I'm going to eat. I'm going to get 2 hot dogs and 2 red hot dogs, and I'm not coming back." That was a Monday. My first day was that Thursday.
Did you get a haircut?
I did.
Oh, man.
And the first thing I did was put the truck up. And
You know why JR made you do that, right?
because Jerry used to have that long.
Yeah, he had long hair, and I told him earlier today, he was here today, and I told him earlier today, I think it was almost a mullet. He claims it wasn't, it was mullet-esque.
It would definitely be a mullet
Let's put it that
nowadays.
way, absolutely, so.
But so yeah, I put the truck up, and I remember putting the onion rings and the fries up and everything. And I could hear my dad in my head, like, "Oh, now you're gonna flip burgers for a
Flip
living.
burgers.
You're gonna flip burgers. You're never gonna be nothing. This and that, this and that." And I worked there for a while. I left, went back to school. I never graduated, but come back, and I was always just drawn back to the restaurant business in general because the ability to meet new people every day. And I just specifically kept coming back because JR showed a lot of grace with me, a lot of grace. And in 2012, I remember calling him. I was on the cusp of some legal trouble, and I said, "Dude, I would come and work for you, right?" It was Friday night. I was like, "I'm supposed to be somewhere cooking cheesesteaks and cheeseburgers, and I would almost do that for $4 an hour." And I think minimum wage was $7 and some change. And he started laughing. And he said, "What are you doing this week?" And I remember sitting in my house. I didn't have a TV. I didn't have a laptop. I just had lights and water. And I said, "Nothing. What do you want? What do you need me to do?" And he said, "Well, we're opening a store in Lexington." And I'd never even heard of Lexington, South Carolina. I'd been through Columbia one time. And I said, "When do you need me there?" And he said, "If you would have texted me a little earlier, I'd have picked you up." And I said, "When do you need me there? I can get there." I didn't have a car. My license was suspended for too many points for speeding. It didn't matter.
You were living your best life,
Dude.
Jay.
Yeah.
Well, you had lights and water.
Yeah, lights and water. I joke. I say it in a joking way, but a lot of nights for dinner, I was taking Ambien and wine. I wasn't trying to not wake up, but I was doing everything possible to give myself a chance not to wake up. And
You were in a bad spot.
yeah, I had big beard, long hair again, and I'll never forget. It was like September 1st, I think, in 2012. And I went and got in the shower, and I remember praying, "Lord," on Monday when we opened, just make my vision strong and my hands fast, because I knew I hadn't cooked in a long time.
Right.
And that's just what I took a razor and I shaved my face. No electric, nice little things like I have now. I called my parents and I said, I need a ride to Columbia, South Carolina. And my dad said, "Let me call and see if I can figure some stuff out because I didn't have any gas money." And I said, "Listen, I need you to let me know as soon as possible, because if not, I need to start walking down Highway 220 to get to Cheraw, and then I'll figure everything else out." And I think he knew. I was like, I told him, I said, "This is my last chance with Andy's." I said, "This is my last chance. This is it." And that was a Saturday. That next day, that Sunday, I got down to Rockingham. Parents took me down. I remember my mom dropped me off in Lexington. Mom and Dad dropped me off at the hotel they were staying at. You were actually at the store speaking, and Jared told me just to go to the hotel, and I had like $40 in coins, and my mom gave me a family-sized bag of potato chips. I had like 2 pair of underwear, a pair of socks, and the clothes on my back.
Wow.
And that was it. And I was going to start over. And I remember JR came in that night, and he and Chris Lacote, and gave me the rundown on the store and everything. I'm like, yeah, like, just put me in there, turn me loose, I'm ready. And we went to eat at Outback that night, and I still go on the early part of September, I still go to Outback and eat. I try to every year, just because, like, that was the best food I'd had in a while at that point. I was like, yeah, this is, and I remember passing by, and I was dating a girl at the time that was not my future wife, and Chris pointed at the Jareds and he said, "You can buy that girl a wedding ring right there at that store." And I said, "Nah, maybe when the time comes." Anyway, we go to work, and that first Monday, and all the guys that they didn't know me because they'd been training, like, oh, you're gonna get destroyed, blah blah blah. Okay, guys. And about 2 hours in, hey man, we need your help down here. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get destroyed, huh? Like, you know.
The competitor came out.
It was just like riding a bike, and at the time, that was some of the biggest stores sales that we'd seen open.
Sure.
And I remember that night getting done. Chris and JR, I was sitting at table 3, and Chris and JR counting the money and everything, and you're talking. And we went to eat at Applebee's that night, and I went to grab my drink, and my hands just, and I was like, Chris, what's wrong with me?
You cramped.
I was cramped up,
Yeah.
and
Been there.
there was many more days of that. And then you just fast forward over the next couple of years to running the Irmo location. I met my wife. Her sister worked at the Lexington store. I met her early on. I met her that same September. And we got engaged that next June. I bought a ring from that Jared's.
And when did you marry her?
We got engaged at the Irmo store before it opened because that was our first store we were going to run together. And I told her that I remember just getting down on one knee and telling her, I said, I promise you that I'm going to take care of you. And you may not always understand how, but I'm going to take care of you forever. And we can get some animals one day if you want. We can even have a kid or two if you want, but only if you want, because neither one of us wanted kids. And so that was in June of 2013. We bought our store in Lexington, took over ownership January 1st of 2017. We got married February 4th, 2017 in that store.
In the store.
In the store while it was
That's right.
open.
That's right.
And then our daughter Agnes, we call her Aggie. Aggie was born at the end of 2018 in September. Yeah. And September just, when I look back on September, man, it was a great time in my life. It was like the starting over.
Yeah.
I met Heather that same month, and then 6 years later, my Red Sox won the World Series in September. My daughter was born in September, and yeah, man, September's just it's one of those months I always look forward to, and it's kind of really, especially in South Carolina, when the weather starts to change.
Yeah.
And it's like a new season, and that's what it represents in my life in a huge way. And but yeah,
That's almost poetic, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So 5 years from now.
5 years from now, the store will be paid off. The store's almost paid off now. I'll be into my 40s. I'll probably be fully gray by then. There won't be salt and pepper. It'll be just salt.
Respect.
5 years from now, I want to be. I'd like to be, and I'm not going to put a number out there, but I'd like to be able to give away to schools, churches, organizations like that we already do what I pay myself right now.
Awesome.
And
What a beautiful.
not so I can brag,
No.
but just so I can say, hey, I remember when what I gave away this year is what I fed my family on.
One last question. Is your dad still alive?
He is.
Is he proud of you?
I don't know.
I bet he is. Because I am, brother.
I appreciate that. And I thought about that on the way up here.
Absolutely.
And I was going to tell you that today off, but we're on here and it can be recorded for all of history. But there's been times, and I can take you to 2 or 3 spots here and outside when we've talked. And when my brother was with the company too, because we talked about it, where plenty of people told me they were proud of me and everything. But as far as like a father figure, mentor, someone I look up to, you told me, hey, proud of you, boy. Proud of you.
I am, man.
And that's always going to stick with me. You know, hopefully it's years down the road, but one day one of our numbers is going to get called, and if yours is before mine, at your funeral, I'm going to hear those words from you. Proud of you, boy.
I am, man.
And I appreciate that.
Thanks for being part of this, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you.